One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
All right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, here on the Zoom platform, broadcasting through Facebook and YouTube. Good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in. Going to be talking about a very interesting topic today. So, wherever you're at in the world, I hope that you're staying safe, you're staying well, you're staying healthy, staying properly informed with all of the changing times that we have going on. If you could just let me know that the sound quality and video quality is okay, that would be fantastic. I'm doing something new by going through the Zoom platform instead of my iPhone. And what that does, that allows me to bring people into the Zoom room in the Healing Cafe a little bit more streamlined, I guess, as I'd like to say. So we're going to just take the next 20 minutes. Let me see if I can just make sure that the video is coming up through Facebook. There's a little bit of a lag time, probably a few seconds or so. But today I wanted to talk about something that the Dalai Lama has been talking about for years. It's called wise selfishness. And wise selfishness is something that I think we all could, use and do in this time, in this unprecedented times, in this chaos that we find ourselves in. So if you could just let me know that the video quality is okay, the sound quality is okay. Like I said, this is a newer setup for me, coming through my Zoom platform onto Facebook, and then this will be over on YouTube a little bit later. And if everything sounds good, then let's go hear you and see you well. Okay, thanks, Jolie. I appreciate it. So let's do a little bit of spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual goal, and we do that with a nice cup of coffee. This wouldn't be Metaphysical Mocha Mondays without some coffee or tea or protein shake, whatever your desire is for this morning. So everybody just take a nice deep breath with me. Let's move into the magic of the moment. It's Monday morning. Happy Labor Day to everybody that's celebrating that in the States. Here in the States, it's Labor Day, so you may have a day off. A lot of the federal, your mouth is slightly behind the words. Okay, yeah, there's a little bit of delay. Like I said, I'm trying out the Zoom platform because I wanted to do the interface a little bit more. So we'll try to get through it. I'll go back and review the tape later, but please share out. Please subscribe to the page if you haven't done so already. And also, I've put my link to my YouTube channel that'll be broadcasting later this afternoon for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. And I might even do some evening shows coming up as we move into the fall season. But technically, they always say summer is over after Labor Day, but we technically have until the 22nd until summer's officially over. So you got a few more days to enjoy the sunshine and get out there. This morning, I'm going to give you a metaphysical tip, something I'm going to be doing now moving forward called Metaphysical Tip of the Week. Going to give you your crystal for the week, your number for the week, and something to do with nature for the week. So let me just close some of these tabs that I have open so I don't get lost in all of the navigation. But let's start with what I mean by wise selfishness. This is something that I was thinking about over the weekend and during my meditations this morning that just kind of really resonated with me. What does wise selfishness mean to you? And it's something that the Dalai Lama has long talked about. He's talked about compassion. He's talked about altruism. He's talked about wise selfishness. And I think in this day and age, with everything that's going on, this is a time to really move into that wise selfishness energy, if you will. And what it means, it's really about, if you have a lot of anxiety going on in the world, if you have a lot of depression or anxiety within yourself and what you see of what's happening in our world. One of the things that the Dalai Lama talked about in several interviews, and this is a man that's now in his 80s, he's traveled the world over. I believe he's the 7th Dalai Lama that had come, once Tibet had succeeded from China. And he talked about compassion a lot. And this last year has really been a very transformational year for myself, my spiritual journey, my relationships in the physical world, family, friends, relationships with my wife. They've all transformed. And, when transformation happens, it's usually not how you foresee it or how you want it to be. And some of the transformations this last year for me has really opened my eyes about people, what people support, what people stand for, which is free will and choice. That's, no judgment here. But it just has really garnered some of what I call my selfishness, protecting myself, my boundaries. And we call it wise selfishness. It's like, what do you want to tune into? What do you want your focus to be? Because your focus does determine your reality. And that's actually one of the tips for this week that I'll be giving you on your metaphysical tip of the week. And altruism is really, it is a belief or practice of selfless concern for the well-being of others. And I've really, this last few months, have really tried to step out and have compassion for others, but also hold people accountable. As a spiritualist, one of the principles, the philosophy of spiritualism that we talked about is accountability. We talk about, there's 7 principles within the spiritual pathways. And it's the 5th principle of the philosophy of spiritualism. And it talks about personal responsibility. And if you're going to have altruism, if you're going to have compassion, you also have to have personal responsibility for yourself and what you say and what you do, but also, let people know of their own personal responsibilities, moral fiber, moral code, what is right, what is wrong, calling it out, or I'm forgetting his name already, where he talked about good trouble, where you have a moral obligation to say something. You don't have to be mean about it, but you can show compassion by also saying something. I've been showing a lot of compassion for our Constitution because in the days and months ahead, we're really in for some transformational historical changes for a lot of people in the United States. And if you're not in the United States and you're like, oh, that's only the United States, just remember, we're all symbiotic. There's a connection and there's a ripple effect that takes place when world events take place and world changes take place. And so personal responsibility is something I've been really trying to hold myself to, because it's a principle of spiritualism. I am a spiritualist. I'm a full member of the Spiritual National Union of England, working currently on my diplomas for a lot of what I do. And today I wanted to talk about, it's okay to have wise selfishness for yourself and for your journey. Over the last few months, I've had to, unfortunately, defriend some people on Facebook, whatever Facebook is now, social media, if you will. I've had to step away from some family members as well, and that has been that's been hard to do, to be honest with you. But it's the right thing to do. It's the peaceful thing to do, and it's wise selfishness, as the Dalai Lama talked about. So again, wise selfishness is really all about an outward. If you're feeling the anxiety, if you're feeling down, it's really about giving yourself. It's a golden rule, the golden circle, paying it forward, doing something for somebody else that lets you feel better about yourself. It's more of an outward facing, have wise selfishness for what you're doing and boundaries for what you're doing, and don't let people walk all over you. But at the same time, be kind, caring, and compassionate, and still try to help those that maybe can't help themselves, or bring awareness to people that maybe they're not even aware of what they're doing or what they're saying or what they're supporting, and bring awareness to that. We're in such a divisive, opinionated world these days, especially in social media. If I say something that my intention is to promote positivity and inspiration and encouragement and motivation and healing, you're always going to have somebody that sees it as a direct threat or a negative comment. And behind social media, behind a keyboard, you pretty much say what you want. And so it's really been a lesson for me the last few months, especially with everything that's going on, about having that wise selfishness that the Dalai Lama talks about. There's a really good interview that he did. You can go to YouTube and check that out, where he talks about wise selfishness. But it's really about doing more outward facing work. I've always been in service to help others. In fact, I did a reading with a young lady the other day in California, and she said, I looked at your background and your education, and you've always been in service to help others. And I said, that's true. I started out with the service to the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Constitution, 8 years of my life given for that, and then transferred out into the local community of my fire department. Was a day shift firefighter EMT for several years. So I like to say that I served my country, I served my local community, and now being called to, as a spiritualist, as a psychic, as a medium, as a counselor, as a sometimes a therapist, even with grieving. Now I've been called to serve the spirit world. And so it's always about being called to serve and to help others. And there are times there, I am human, and there are times where, it can get really, heavy, or really, sad, or really just feeling down. Right. But when I feel that way, I go back to the Dalai Lama's teachings in spiritualism, and Lao Tzu is another one, Rumi's another one that I follow when, these teachings, because in order to lift my spirits, to lift spirits of others, in my shows, either Metaphysical Mocha Mondays or my podcast, Inspired Living Radio, over on Own Times, or just the readings I do, I have to keep that positive, high vibration. And it's not always easy to do. It takes discipline, it takes dedication, it takes learning, it takes surrendering, it takes transformation, conditioning, if you will. But at the end of the day, I love what I do. I love showing up every Monday morning, regardless who's hanging out with me, wherever you're at. Thank you for joining the show. Please share, please like, please subscribe, either to this page and join almost, I think I'm over 30,000 followers now. So thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your follow and your like. But it's more about just showing up and putting a ripple effect out, putting a positive vibration out, even when there's days that and I'll be honest with you, there are days that I don't want to do this. But that's just being authentic, and that's me being honest and showing up and doing the work. And it is when I'm done doing the work, like, for example, there's been a few shows where I'm just not feeling the energy. I'm not feeling, with everything that I see going on with the world, how we treat others, the violence, how we're killing our planet, how we hurt animals, the child sex rings, the pedophilia. It really is, as a sensitive, as an empath, I can feel that, and it's really heavy. And you're like, I don't want to do a show today, but you have to show up. My mentors have taught me over the years, sometimes you just have to show up. And I have to admit, when you have wise selfishness, and when you show an outward compassion for others, or you practice the art of altruism, it is, really that selfless concern for the well-being of others. And after the shows, I do feel better, whether it's Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, whether it's the Healing Cafe, which will follow right after this show here in about 10 minutes or so. And the Healing Cafe is where I'll directly contact. I'll have readings with you. I'll have my phone open this time. Last week, we had my one of my students in my group, Reg Evans, who did a fantastic job. He came on into the Zoom room. We were actually able to bring people into the Zoom room for live readings and chats. He'll be coming back later in the year, and some other students from my spiritual development group will also be coming on and giving it a go and showing up in the Healing Cafe. So make sure to stick around, because that'll be coming through the Zoom platform, as well as at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But it's really about just showing up. It's about being authentic. It's about being kind, caring, and compassionate, especially in a world that seems to have lost its way, that seems to have lost its moral fiber, its moral code, its moral compass, if you will. And maybe that's why I was called at this time to, my mentors have taught me over the years that many are called, few are chosen. And I didn't want to do this work. I didn't want to be a psychic. I didn't want to be a medium. I was worried about the judgment. I was worried about what people would think. And, I've worked through that minutia now. I've worked through that stuff, and now I'm just my authentic self showing up. But at the same time, I know that I'm in service to helping the spirit world and bringing light into the darkness, bringing a positivity and encouragement and inspiration. And it wasn't until just a few years ago that when I took my Myers-Briggs profile test that I was actually known as being an inspirer, helping others. So I always say, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, because life is short. So you want to carpe diem and seize the day every day, because you don't know when it's your last. And now that I'm doing this work and, doing a lot of writing, doing a lot of shows, kind of transformed the last, year with personal relationships, my own relationship with myself. It just makes sense in the year of 2020. 2020 is known in numerology as the master builder year, the dedicated worker, where you tear down things of old so you can create things of new. And when you see that, when you finally see the forest through the trees, or you have that clarity and the path before you starts to illuminate, it's not an easy path to follow. And for some of you watching today's show, you may be having some struggles. You may be feeling lost. You may be feeling anxiety or depression. And that's a part of it. Really, it's part of the spiritual awakening, I guess. The shakening causes the awakening. It's not always rainbows and cupcakes and unicorns and kumbaya. There are some transformative experiences that take place. But I wanted to just share a few concepts, if you'll indulge me just for a second, just some things that maybe, may ring true to you, may not ring true. And I'm also going to give you your metaphysical tip of the week, which is very important. But the first thing that I wanted to share with you this morning, if I can find it here, hopefully I can find it, maybe not. One of the hardest things you'll ever have to do is to grieve the loss of a person who is still living. And that's kind of where I've been in the last few months of grieving the loss of friendships, of family relationships, based on a bad history, based on narcissism, based on gaslighting, based on ignorance. And again, just because I'm not friends with you doesn't mean that you're my enemy. I want to see you eat. I want to see you successful. I just don't want you to be eating at my table of life. I don't want you eating my food. And so that's just a, really respectful way of having wise selfishness and boundaries, but at the same time, having compassion for others, having an outward facing promotion of encouragement, inspiration, and motivation, and using altruism as a tool to do that. And again, altruism, the Dalai Lama talks about it all the time and what it is. And it is the belief or practice of selfless concern of the well-being for others. And so for those of you that are empaths and sensitive, we usually care about others, total strangers, because that is a caring attribute of the human consciousness, of the human spirit. Just like if I yawn, that is an empathic response, and somebody usually around within that circle will yawn, because we're supposed to be empathic beings. We're supposed to care for others. So I just wanted to share that with you this morning. I hope that you practice some wise selfishness. you know that you have your boundaries, but you're still able to find that balance between the light and the dark. The homeostasis that I talked about, which is that center pathway of, you know, the nervous system is always fight or flight. And when, you know, one of the predictions I talked about is the world and society finding its pathway through a center of what I call the great coming together, but also balance of homeostasis. It's the yin and the yang, it's the night and the day, it's the sun and the moon, it's the Jedi and the Sith. It all goes hand in hand, and I've experienced that firsthand this last year, and the transformations that come through that. But at the end of the day, when you get through that transformation, when you conquer that, that is going to be very beneficial, very healthy, and very peaceful and joyous for you on your journey. I always remind people, walk away from things that make you question your worth. That's very, very important. I had to practice that this last week with my day job. And, you know, that's not easy to do, but when you question your own worth, walk away from people or walk away from things that make you challenge or, you know, make you question what your worth is, because you have a lot of worth and you bring a lot to this planet. I just want to remind you of that. I also want to remind you that, you know, to practice the concept, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. I have become the intuitive prospector. This is what I choose to become, to be in service, to practice wise selfishness, to show kindness, caring, and compassion, even when people won't show it to you back. And trust me, one of the hardest tests that you'll do in this journey, as a spiritualist, as a psychic, as a medium, as a sensitive, as an empath, is to be able to smile in the face of a storm, to smile when somebody else is throwing junk at you, when they're throwing stuff at you. And that's not easy to do. And again, that's through the practice and art of trust, patience, dedication, discipline, surrender, flow, all of that, what I call spiritual prospecting for your own spiritual goal. But prospecting is not easy. You have to put in the work, just like the 5 laws of creation tell us. What you put in, you get out. So wanted to share that message with you this morning. And again, just some of the principles that I abide by. You know, that 5th principle of the spiritualist pathways are personal responsibility. And I hope that you practice compassion. I hope that you practice altruism, and that you have that golden rule and paying it forward. And stay to your moral fiber, stay to your moral code, stay to your moral compass. When others say, oh, you're different, I can look at people and say, well, you're all the same. Find your authentic path, but do it in a way that helps others. So, one of the things that I wanted to give you this week is your metaphysical tip of the week. And this actually comes from one of the many people that I follow. It's called Earth Monk. And it talks about take the day by storm and how you interact with it. Smile and engage with the world with positivity, and that's what you will receive back. So think about that. If you're going to, you know, set your intention, energy follows intention. You smile at the world, the world smiles back. And sometimes when the world doesn't smile back at you, you still have to keep smiling, and that's not easy to do. Be kind, engage, and fully present in all your interactions with others. Thank people and mean it. You know, last week I had a meeting, and the whole time I was talked at, not talked to. There was no compassion, there was no empathy. And I had to make a decision to walk away from something because it made me question my worth. And I've always been a contributor and always have helped people and been a team player. And sometimes you have to make that hard call. But thank people and mean it. Talk to people, don't talk at people. Connect with others with eye contact, open energy, and your generosity of spirit. Practice gratitude actively, seeking out the positive in every situation and every experience. I always like to say we're here, life is an acronym, learn it from experience. Sometimes those lessons are hard, sometimes those lessons are transformational, sometimes those lessons are healing. But, you know, practice an attitude for gratitude. It helps lift your spirits as well. Choose to see everything as an opportunity for learning or growing rather than inconvenience and/or a problem. There's a lot of people I know that like to play the victim, like to play the martyr, versus taking the bull by the horns and looking at it as a learning experience and how can I grow from this. And that's what I had to do last week after I made a decision to resign from something because I was questioning my worth. And then, you know, kind of those emotions, those human emotions, like, well, you know, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And, you know, if you're patient, if your patience is tested, remember that it's an opportunity to also learn patience. I have to remind my members of my group, my spiritual development group, that the pillars that I teach on are trust and patience. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It's not on demand. So again, patience. If you're having a lack of patience, work on meditation, work on Tai Chi or Qigong, or just getting out in nature and connecting to nature, because that's an opportunity to work on patience. If you find something stressful, it's an opportunity to learn how to remain calm when you're up against it. Walk with the day to get the best out of it, and how can you become the best version of yourself today than you were yesterday. That's really the things that it's taught me. And again, that's just why selfishness for your pathway forward. So that's your metaphysical tip of the week. Your crystal for the week, and I can show you here because I'm on video. Let's see here. Let me go back to my Zoom platform here so I can see it. So this is out of the Crystal Bible, but this is the actual, it's called Banadite Vanadinite. And the reason that I picked this stone this morning is because it's an excellent stone for people who have problems accepting their physicality, their physical being, the acceptance of themselves, how they see themselves. And it has a strong connection with the earth chakra, which is how you connect through your feet. It's a grounding stone for the soul and the physical body, and it's assisting in being comfortable in the earth environment, and it guards against squandering energy and teaches you how to conserve energy at the physical level. So there you go. That's the stone for this week, Banadite. Your number for the week is forgiveness. This is the card pick. The 9 means that something is coming to a completion for you this week or this month after Labor Day. The 6 is self-energy, self-love. But this is actually funny because the card that I picked with that card this morning, picked at random, is I'm writing my next article for my newsletter and for Om Times Magazine, where I talk about the best vengeance is forgiveness. And that's kind of where I'm at in my journey, is now moving into that place of forgiveness. So for your nature connection this morning, I wanted to give you your totem animal card, and it's the horse card. Trust your feelings. Trust your feelings. That's a big part of the work, is trust, patience, discipline, dedication, flow, surrender, transformations. So I hope that message helps. We're going to get ready for the Healing Cafe. So give me a second to end this video, and then I'll be back up in the Healing Cafe, and I'll have hopefully the link and the number I can paste into the comment section for you. Again, thanks for hanging out on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I hope that you get something from it, and I hope that you're staying safe, you're staying healthy, staying properly informed today, and especially in the days ahead, because again, we're in for some very transformational historical changes. But at the end, this too shall pass, and the great coming together that I long predicted at the beginning of the year. I'll just remind you the 4 words that came to me as a numerologist, as a psychic, as a seer. The great coming together: self-mastery, sustainability, and homeostasis, and that'll help us to move into the year of the 5, which is 2021. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to get on my YouTube library. Make sure to like the page. You can find me at marclainhart.com. Internet, search the Intuitive Prospector. You can find me on my professional directories, Best American Psychics, Best Psychic Directory, Ariel Spiritual Community, FamousPsychicMediums.com. You can find me through your Alexa. Just ask to open up Positive Living, and you can get spiritual daily tips from me to come through your Alexa app if that's what you're interested in doing. And most importantly, thanks for being here today. And I hope you have a great Labor Day and enjoy the rest of your week. And I'll be back next Monday for another Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. And until that time, till our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. I'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Namaste.